And one of the things that we've been focusing on throughout these Feedback Studio videos is the extent to which you can save time and help the assignment process go more quickly and smoothly. Rubrics are one of the mechanisms that can help with just this. Used effectively, they can significantly reduce the amount of time needed to grade an individual script, with the added bonus of increasing objectivity and clarity of feedback. To begin with though, we probably need to do a little explaining about rubrics for those who've never used them before and aren't familiar with them. Rubrics tend to take the form of a Likert-type scale that can be applied to assessments. It's often linked directly to the learning outcomes for that particular assignment or course. There's a simple example of a rubric in UEL's assessment and feedback policy, which we can see here. Here we can see that categories have been established in accordance with some of the generic skills and grade bands for each category, from 0 to 9%, 10 to 19%, 20 to 29%, and so on, all the way up to 100%. Now this table could work as a rubric because there is a separate set of descriptions for exactly what student work has to be like for each of those grade bands. So, for example, in order to be awarded between 60 and 69% for specific subject skills and practices, the work has to demonstrate, clear evidence of the application of theoretical and technical knowledge to achieve learning outcomes with few obvious flaws, and professional presentation using a good range of resources and reflecting professional norms. Now, to get between 90 and 100% for scholarly and professional skills and attributes, the work would need to produce work that influences how academics and students think about their discipline through being original within the discipline, achieving the highest level of compelling, coherent and concise argument attainable within the level of study, using a full range of high-quality sources to inform but not dominate the argument. Now, of course, this is just an example using generic descriptors, but you could easily construct a similar kind of rubric specifically for your own course. Here is a set of learning outcomes taken from a module in language acquisition. Now, let us assume that students will be just completing one written assignment for this module. I don't necessarily need to have any particular subject expertise to know that the students will need to demonstrate each of these 4 outcomes in their assignment. The grade they are given for the assignment will depend on how well they demonstrate these 4 things. We can then think about each of these learning outcomes as categories, and just as within the generic table we've just looked at, we can determine different grade bands for each of them. Now, rather than break things down into 10%, though, this time we're going to just use the grade bands for honours degree classifications. Now, we can find these in paragraph 6.10 of part 3 of the Manual of General Regulations, as I'm sure we all know. We can see here that the grades are divided into first-class categories of 70 to 100%, a 2-1, 60 to 69%, a 2-2, 50 to 59%, a third, 40 to 49%, and a fail between 0 and 39%. Okay, now we can add these classifications into a table in order to form the basis of a rubric, like this. All we need to do now is to write some constructive feedback to fill in each of these boxes. Now we can get help with this as well. If we go back to the document on assessment criteria, at the bottom we can see an example rubric here from the School of ADI. Now this rubric has grade categories that match the grade bands for honours degree classifications. We'll ignore for a minute the this 0 to 30% category. This is just for an example, so we just need to get enough for the gist here. Now this example is also specific for a written essay, and we're dealing with a written assignment as well, so this is quite handy. Now here, in this example, we can see that in order to get 70% or more for subject knowledge, the student's work would need to be excellent, with in-depth use of knowledge from a wide range of relevant sources, together with applied and illustrated understanding of material. Now this might broadly be seen to fit the first learning outcome. So let's put it in there for the time being. In fact, let's put all of these knowledge and understanding descriptors in the appropriate categories. The next category is for analysis, and this might perhaps match our learning outcome that is also focused on analysis. So let's copy these descriptors over too. Now, obviously, you're unlikely to be able to use examples like this exactly as they are without any modification, but it gives you a good starting point and an indication of the kind of descriptor that fits the different grade bands. From this, you should hopefully be able to develop your own unique feedback for each of the sections, perhaps with help from generic level guides like Bloom's taxonomy. Now, once you have your rubric, grading an assignment can become as simple as selecting the appropriate level to match your evaluation of the student's work. The final grade for the assignment will be formed from an average of each of the category grades you have been given. In Feedback Studio, this process is done automatically, although there is the opportunity for you to add any additional information or modifications that you think are appropriate. Now, rubrics will not suit everybody or every subject, but they can be an extremely effective way to provide clear feedback to students quickly and accurately. It can help as well to ensure that your feedback is aligned clearly to the learning outcomes for the module and with the right qualification level.